L'arabe est la deuxième langue parlée en France. Et c'est une réalité qu'il faut souvent rappeler.
Yes, Macron actually said that. And yes, it is real. Arabic has become the second language in France. And at the same time, Islam has become the second religion in the country. Both Arabic and Islam have become the fastest growing in France, with a population with the highest birth rates. One phenomenon is behind all this. We would like to call it turbo-massive immigration.
A rescue ship carrying 230 people died at the French port at Toulon.
And although critics and the media and politicians have spent around 2 decades warning about this, a little book from 50 years ago that ignited a scandal already predicted this. A French naval officer and novelist named Jean Raspail published The Camp of the Saints, and today, we brought it back to light. Jean Raspail wrote The Camp of the Saints as a nightmare. The novel's premise is that a fleet of roughly 1 million impoverished people from the banks of the Ganges River set sail for the French Riviera. These people were common folk and came unarmed. Some were desperate, others were starving, but all were overwhelming in number, and they decided to go to France. The novel's real subject is the people watching it arrive. Raspail was interested in the French and European elite, the politicians, the journalists, the clergy, the academics, and the specific way they had been rendered unable to say no. Because the moral vocabulary available to them, humanitarian obligation, had made the very act of refusal into a crime against their own stated values. They watched the fleet come. They debated, they agonized, but they could not bring themselves to act. This is what Raspail called the psychological collapse of the West. Not conquest by force, but surrender by confusion. For 50 years, the book was treated as a dystopia. Then the Mediterranean crossings became a permanent feature of European life. Then the banlieue of Paris and Marseille began appearing in reports as places where the French state has difficulty asserting its authority. Then Macron confirmed that Arabic is France's second language at an event dedicated to the French language. And Raspail's shadow turned bigger. If you are enjoying this video so far, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any further videos we'll be dropping. Now, if Raspail described the arrival, Michel Houellebecq, France's most celebrated and most controversial living novelist, described what comes after. Submission, published on January 7, 2015, the same day as the Charlie Hebdo massacre at the hand of ISIS mercenaries. Imagine a near-future France where a moderate Islamic political party wins the presidency. The novel was actually about psychology. The most disturbing element of submission is not the election result. Rather, it is the reaction of the French people. They do not resist either. The academics convert to keep their university posts. The media adapts its language. The intellectuals find reasons to approve. The women start wearing the veil, all under the weight of a civilization that no longer had enough belief in itself to offer a competing vision. Houellebecq's argument is that Western secular liberalism has become so exhausted, so empty of transcendent meaning that when it encounters a culture that still believes in something, that still has a god, for instance, it willingly folds. This is the link between Raspail and Houellebecq. Raspail showed a West that could not say no to the arrival. Houellebecq showed a West that would eventually say yes to the replacement, because it had nothing left worth defending. The question both books raise is about the interior life of a civilization. What do you believe in? What would you sacrifice to protect it? And if the answer is nothing, if the only value you hold with absolute conviction is the conviction that holding values is intolerant, then what exactly is the civilization defending? The debate around Raspail and Houellebecq has always been hypothetical. If this happens, if France loses control, if the Republic's universalist dream fails. But in some places, it has already happened. In 2011, a landmark report commissioned by the Institut Montaigne think tank and directed by political scientist Gilles Kepel concluded that Parisian suburbs, Saint-Denis in particular, were becoming, in their words, separate Islamic societies cut off from the French state. The report described Saint-Denis as a wasteland of deindustrialization, where over a third of the population in some areas holds no French nationality. Unemployment among those under 25 exceeds 40%. In the suburb of Aubervilliers, more than 70% of the population is Muslim. Historian Georges Bonsusson put it directly in his 2017 book, A Submissive France. He interviewed teachers, social workers, nurses, and emergency services personnel who described the emergence of a parallel society with its own rules, its own authority structures, and its own relationship to the French state, which is to say, very little relationship at all. The French government itself has formally designated these areas with a bureaucratic euphemism, priority security zones. There are more than 60 of them. Their existence is official. What they represent is also official if spoken about carefully. Areas where the normal functions of the Republic, law enforcement, education, civil administration, operate at reduced capacity or not at all. The French themselves have a blunter name for it. They call them the lost territories of the Republic. Raspail imagined the camps he feared as arriving from the sea. But they did not arrive all at once. They grew, slowly, in the suburbs of the country's own cities. What we're witnessing in France is what Houellebecq might call the exhaustion of a soul. A reconquista, he argues, requires a crusader spirit, a potent, shared identity that people are willing to die for. But modern France, hollowed out by decades of aggressive secularism, possesses no such metaphysical energy. As Michel Houellebecq chillingly argued in Submission, the French Republic has become a ghost, a shell with no inner life. And when a culture stops believing in itself, it looks for a new master. So the era of the Republic might be over, and the era of post-France might have begun. But what are your thoughts? Do you think France has any salvation? Can it go back to being France? Let us know in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the newer videos we'll be posting. And if you want to stay ahead of our releases, click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen. See you in our next 10-minute brief.